And welcome back to the second hour of Focal Point on AFR Talk. I am Brian Fisher, your vocally challenged host. Program is Focal Point. The network is AFR Talk, American Family Radio Talk Network. I want to, and we're free for all Friday, so we're kind of playing it loose today, taking more phone calls in part because I need the help from you to occupy the airtime, give my throat a little bit of a rest. Got a couple of other pieces I want to read, and then we'll go right back to the phones. Couple of articles that I thought would be of interest to you, and I'd like to get your reaction to. The first one is from Rick Perry. And by the way, Chick-fil-A, there's some misunderstanding out there. Chick-fil-A has not backed down really from anything. Now, it kind of looks like they have, and the part of this is kind of, I think, a PR, maybe a misjudgment on their part that they waited a little bit too long to come out and clarify. But, you know, Chick-fil-A has never made political donations. They've never made donations to politically activist organizations. Like, they've never donated to the American Family Association, for instance. They've never donated to the National Organization for Marriage, which is the leading pro-marriage activist or organization in the country. They have made a total of $1,000 donation in the history of the Family Research Council. They have given money to Focus on the Family to support the efforts that Focus on the Family is making to work directly with struggling marriages. And that's what the heart of the Chick-fil-A Foundation is to help those organizations that are directly trying to provide the offer of help to married couples and to their families. They really have never directed their giving toward political activism, those that are working to preserve and protect the institution of marriage in law. Has not been their focus, and they haven't changed a thing. They're still going to provide support for ministries and organizations that work directly on helping marriages along. So I wanted to kind of clear that up for you because there has been a considerable amount of confusion. We were even here trying to figure out what Chick-fil-A was up to. So that in part was, I think, maybe they could have been a little bit quicker about getting the word out to kind of ease some of these concerns. Now, two stories I want to read a little bit from, and we'll get your reaction to this. One is excerpts from a conference call that featured Texas Governor Rick Perry. Now, he was talking with evangelicals on this phone call, but he was very, very direct about some of the things that he had to say. And he talked openly in this conference call as the governor of the state of Texas about spiritual warfare. Here are a couple of excerpts, and I'd like to get your reaction to this. How do you feel about a political figure like Rick Perry, a governor of a state, talking openly about Satan and spiritual warfare? How do you feel about that? What's your reaction to that? He said this to these evangelicals on the call. This was Tuesday. Satan runs across the world with his doubt and with his untruths and what have you. And one of the untruths out there that is driven is that people of faith should not be involved in the public arena. So he's saying Satan is out there running across the world, spreading these falsehoods, spreading these untruths. And one of the untruths that Satan is out there spreading, not just secularists or liberal politicians, but Satan is out there spreading this untruth that people of faith should not be involved in the public arena. He goes on, somehow or another, there's this, steel wall, this iron curtain or whatever you want to call it, between the church and people of faith. And this separation of church and state is just false on its face. We have a biblical responsibility to be involved in the public arena proclaiming God's truth. What's your reaction to a political figure talking so openly about the responsibility? He didn't say you have this responsibility. He's identifying himself with evangelical Christians. We have a responsibility to be involved in the public arena. This wall of separation is false on its face. That's a politician speaking, Governor Rick Perry. Last paragraph, you think that this spiritual warfare that's going on and going strong as President Obama and his cronies in Washington continue their efforts to remove any trace of religion from American life. And it falls on us. I mean, we truly are Christian warriors, Christian soldiers, and for us as Americans to stand our ground and to firmly send a message to Washington that our nation is about more than just some secular law. So again, that's the governor of the state of Texas. We are involved in, quote, spiritual warfare, end quote. Those are his words, not mine. Truly, he says, we are Christian warriors, Christian soldiers involved in spiritual warfare. I'd love to get your reaction to what Governor Perry had to say. Let's take a couple of calls before the break. Let's go to Kay in Havana, Kansas. Kay, welcome. What's on your mind?
Hi. I had a couple of things that I wanted to say before you started talking about Governor Rick Perry, and I agree with him, and I'm not ashamed to say that. There is an old Christian song called Onward Christian Soldiers, so I'm with him. But what I just wanted to, if that's all right, I just had another points. Would that be
go right
okay?
ahead. Oh, yeah, you bet.
Okay. Last week, after our U.S. ambassador was killed, and him and the other 3 men were brought back. This was a service at one of the airport hangars, and I watched it on Fox. And I don't have a recorder, so I never can record programs. I wish I would have. So I may be saying wrong because I do not have actual proof. But I listened to both the president, who was after Secretary of State Hillary Rodham Clinton, that she likes to have heard. She said, and I may be wrong, sir, so I apologize for this if I am. But otherwise, if I'm okay, I'm not apologizing. But anyway, she gave a lengthy speech, longer than the president's, and she had said that, now this is where I'm questionable, but I think it's okay, that other countries just couldn't understand America's freedom of speech. And it seemed like she almost hung up on what she was saying, like she had goofed. Now, that maybe I just took that out of context and wrong. Maybe I just didn't hear it good enough.
Well, I did not see those remarks. I read some stories and I saw a little bit of footage. I didn't actually hear her speech, so I can't, verify what you're saying, Kay. But when we come back out of the break, I want to play, Rob, let's have clip 4 ready to go, because Barack Obama in the clip I'm going to talk about next talks about these protests in Libya, and he uses a word. I want you to listen for this word that he uses, which tells me, according to Kay, Hillary Clinton's out there saying other nations don't understand us and our freedom of speech. And I'm suggesting that our leadership, including Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, do not understand Islam. Now, you catch them off guard, you realize maybe they know more than they are letting on. For instance, France shutting down 20 embassies and a bunch of schools in the wake of these protests. Why? Because they know that Islam is not a religion of peace. They know that. They won't ever say that. But why are they shutting down their embassies around the world? Because they know Islam's not a religion of peace. More when we get back. Focal Point after talk.